Well, now if you're looking for a different sort of cultural experience, this may be your alternative. How about an adventure to a local market? Arirang News Hwang Ho-jun takes us on a walk down memory lane.
The Seoul Folk Flea Market is not the typical tourist hotspot with its rows of retro items, traditional crafts, and antiques. And it's a place that's foreign even to some Seoulites. But it isn't uncommon to find foreigners scavenging around.
I think just looking for authenticity instead of the stereotypical souvenir items.
We don't tend to buy things from museum shops because everyone can buy one of them. Flea markets are more one-of-a-kind items.
The market can trace its origins back to the 50s and a cluster of street shops and vendors in the Hwanghak-dong neighborhood around the Cheonggyecheon stream. In 2004, when Seoul began restoring the stream, the vendors were relocated a few blocks over to Dongdaemun Stadium. A few years later, when Seoul decided to renovate the stadium too, the vendors had to relocate once again, this time to the market's current location in Sinseol-dong. Since its grand reopening in 2008, the market has grown to include at least 840 vendors selling an eclectic mix of kitschy keepsakes and rare finds. To safeguard the facility for generations to come, Seoul has even designated it a so-called future heritage site.
There are goods and items that will be much more difficult to find in the next 10 years. This Seoul Folk Flea Market is a place where young people can experience the culture their parents once enjoyed.
Speaking of which, there are more than just novelty and retro stores that make the Seoul Folk Flea Market so special. When you travel up to the second floor, nostalgia becomes reality.
Welcome to the 60s. This is Cheonggyecheon First Avenue, a reconstruction of a typical Seoul street from half a century ago. For Koreans of a certain generation, it's like a walk down memory lane, with replica shops offering souvenirs and other nostalgic knickknacks. There's even a retro tea room that visitors both old and young can appreciate.
This section of the market is special for its commitment to young business owners, especially those selling handmade items, who can apply for one of the many spaces reserved for this class of entrepreneurs. To some, this Seoul Folk Flea Market may seem too grungy for visitors. To others, the fact that it's been relatively untouched by big corporations is what allows it to capture a piece of the real Korea.
So this is I think quite
it's
unique.
It's different. There's no t-shirt saying I love Korea. It's, Korea is here.
Real.
This is it.
In other words, it's the perfect place for an urban treasure hunt in Korea. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.